Welcome everybody. Really nice to see you all on here today. Today is a sort of a quick and easy tips to enter the AVN Awards and hopefully improve your chances of winning. It's all about making sure that we're inspiring others, and that's what the AVN Awards are. Yes, it's about explaining to people the things that you've done and getting some recognition for all the great things that you're doing, but part of it is about sharing that learning so that other people are inspired too from that, and that's really for me is the key. So today we're going to have a sort of quick look about why we should enter them, some of the categories, how you should structure your entry, and a bit of learning from past winners, and obviously how to apply and make sure you get everything done on time. I've got Andrea on camera today online because Andrea, in her other roles outside of AVN, has been an assessor for other awards. Andrea, would you like to just sort of give people a quick synopsis of what sort of things you've done in the past?
Hi there. Yes, so the last few years, up until last year, I was an assessor for the National Training Awards. And that was really interesting because as part of the assessor training, you get trained as to what to look for in awards, which is a fantastic experience to have because obviously I can help other people by explaining the sort of things that you need to look for in awards and the sort of things that whoever is looking at the awards will be looking for. So what you've got to bear in mind is what we go through today with you doesn't just work for the AVN Awards, it works for any awards that you choose to put in for. So you can use this knowledge across the board. But I will certainly help you technically on the bits that I've picked up from my training. Does that help?
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. So what I'm hoping, Andrea, is that you just interrupt me every now and again if you can think of something to add to what I'm saying, just to give people the value of your knowledge. That'd be great. So I guess the first thing, oh gosh, my slides are going all over, is why to enter awards. And obviously the prestige is the most important thing. The cup, obviously, and that massive silver cup we've got, but also that lovely £2,000 for you and your team. This is not to go back into your business to fund the general day running. It's about for you and your team as a reward for all the work that they've put into your business. And of course, as part of winning the awards, you also get some marketing and PR resources to promote your firm. But on a sort of more personal note, what happens is we find that when people apply for awards, what it does is it helps you appreciate the progress that you've actually made, where you were before and how far you've come in the changes that you've made in your business. And that's really good, that take stock moment. And I know some of you that have been on the recent roadmap events, we've done a take stock process where we've asked you to just think about what's been happening and what's changed and how that's made you feel and what a difference it's made to you. And doing something like an award where you have to just step back from your business, look at it always with fresh eyes and think about what have we been doing. It's really useful, not only for the business owner, but for the team as well, because often the team don't see a lot of what's been going on. They've been part of it, they've been the person applying all the learning, but they've not seen always the consequences and what's been happening. So it's great for that.
So as Emma's given you lots of really good reasons so far in terms of the prestige, the fantastic cup that was won by MDH last year for those of you at the conference, also the money and the sort of the marketing and PR resources to promote your firm. And bear in mind, they kick in even if you don't win. Because you can still say this was an award entry. It still gives you some really good text to use in, say, blogs or press releases. So by just the act of writing it, you can do more than just the award with it. It helps you appreciate your progress. And I always think when you're at an award, it becomes a bit like an internal audit on what you're doing. It helps you through your progress and helps you decide what, as Emma said, you need to do next. It's uplifting for the team because actually they've been part of making all these changes happen, and actually just by the act of writing it and entering it, and I know that from the award that we were in for last year, we found that incredibly valuable and actually really, really exciting as a team to be going through that progress.
So basically the other thing is about explaining to people that showing your clients and your customers that actually you do something different. And those of you that have done positioning, we talk about the fact that having an award is, even if the customer doesn't know what that award is for or anything about it, the fact that you've been there's an accolade that somebody has appreciated what you've done, it does wow your customers. And then the last one that I've got here really is about the fact that what it does is when you think about entering awards, what it does is it makes you take time out of your business to focus on your business. Because obviously some people say to us, well, the problem with awards is it takes so much time to put one together.
You sound like a wind tunnel.
I'm so... Okay.
A bit, yeah.
Is it breaking up again?
No, that's fine, Emma.
Okay, sorry. I think it's dropping out. Okay. So what people say too often is that to actually complete an award takes time and energy. But what I'm saying to you is actually that time is really well spent, because it allows you to, again, take stock, to focus on your business, and to think about what you're doing. And of course, one of the extra things about winning an AVN award is that you get to be on our wall of fame, our wall of stars. So I've just taken some pictures this morning of our wall, and so show you that you get to have your own star up there, which is a great way of doing it. So I just want a quick word about the categories, and we're going to go into them a little bit more detail. So there's the Business Clarity Award, which obviously links on the left hand side. I'm showing you what roadmaps they're linked to. The Practice Differentiation Award, the Business Advisory Award, the Customer Committed Team Award, I don't know where my mouth is today, the Consistently High Standards Award, the High Profile Practice Award, and the Changing Lives Award. So the same categories as we had last year, because we feel they all really are still very valid and important. So before we start, how would you make your entry for the AVN Award? Well, the simplest thing to do is actually load the latest version of the AVN dashboard, because there is a link directly on there. And that link opens the AVN Awards page. It's a web page. And each category can be opened and added to and saved to as you go along. Okay, one of the things I've put there is beware of the character count, because it says 6,000 characters, and that can fly by. So you may want to write out your entry somewhere else. But again, I'd like to just point out that if you do something, say you write your entry in Word and you cut and paste it into the web page, then it may lose some of your formatting. So perhaps do it in Notepad or something else so that you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't be marked on your formatting though, will they?
No, of course not. This is all about content, not the way it looks.
It's not a spag.
No, and that's the other thing that people say to us often is that, oh, I'm not good at writing, or I need to have exactly the right words. That's not the case here. Again, with the AVN Awards, it's about what you're saying and what you're sharing. The stories that you think could inspire somebody else to take action. And that's the key. It's not about having the best grammar. It's about actually telling the story of what's been going on.
The one thing is necessity that you always look for, Emma, is the evidence.
Yes.
So you're actually looking for, if somebody talks about their team and the involvement of the team, what's really nice is if there's a little short example of, we have team meetings on a Monday, we involve the team in various projects, and just a little bit of detail to just underpin and give you the evidence to go, yes, I can see that criteria is being met.
Yeah, that is a good point. Okay. So I'm just going to very quickly go through the 7 categories, and you don't obviously have to apply for them all. You apply for whichever feels right for you. And once you've thought about what your business has achieved in the last 12 months, it might be really simple that you can say, yes, we definitely fit into one of these 7 categories. And what I will say is if that you're not sure how something should be positioned in one of the awards, then please ring us, we'll talk through the story and we'll help you, formulate what you need to put into the award application. But let's start with the first one, which is around clarity, isn't it? So, about taking control of your practice. What have you done to actually start taking control? And the small steps that are having positive impact on your key numbers. So thinking about, where you were before, what sort of things have you changed? We're not talking about massive things, because in clarity, it's just about having a clear picture of knowing what you want, and then what are the first steps towards it. And the impact is really important. So when we started, how did you feel? What was your key numbers? And then actually having done some of these things, the evidence, what what are the outcomes afterwards.
Mm.
So there's a lot of people who have been on the Clarity Roadmap that practice growth experts like Andrea and myself, we've been talking to, that we know have taken some amazing steps. And it's not about taking massive steps either, because again, it's about inspiring other accountants. And sometimes those small steps are the hardest, making that first sort of change to your pricing, or having that conversation with a key member of your team that's a challenge, or, making sure that you understand who your ideal client is. And be a bit more focused on who you're asking for referrals for. They can be, really important to what's happened in your business. But as a business owner, just feeling like you have control and you have a clear picture of where you want to go is the key, isn't it? That's what drives all your actions moving forward. You got any comments, Andrea?
No, I think that's very good. I mean, a good way I found when I do something like this is to literally brain dump all the things in my brain around this, and then start to fill them out with some detail. And work on a bit of so what it is, what is the evidence to do with that, what has changed as a result of that. And once you get that little sort of thing going in your head, it becomes quite easy to fill these things out. But it's just list the things down and sort of think, like, what evidence, what has changed as a result of it, and just keep applying to that. The great thing is you can change them around the order you put things in there. And we're not looking for the evidence in any particular order. It's just looking for the things that evidence the criteria that we're working against when we do something like this.
Yeah, and I think as well, because of the limited characters that you've got in the application, you may not have space to put all the evidence in there. So what you want to do is put something in which means that those of us that are reading the applications want to say, tell me more, come and ask me more. Because one of the things that does happen, obviously, as those of you know from last year's conference, is the winners of each category come on stage and tell a little bit about what they've written in their application. But if there is that sort of thing about tell me more, that's a great learning experience for the people in the room at the conference too. So some of that evidence might be given later, or we might ask about it afterwards. So it's important to sort of not feel like tied by that 6,000. It's just like some of the key points for us.
Yeah. And don't worry about using, I'm going to look at Emma now, she might disagree with this, but don't worry about using lots of flowery language.
I agree.
Things that are in there. So, we want to be inspirational, we want to, all the big words, use some of them, but don't fill it full of flowered words, because we don't need those. Just stick to the facts, and then it makes it better for us to judge, and it also makes it a lot easier for you to sort of write it. And another good tip there, if you're running short on words, is when you're writing your sentences, is if you've got words that are not really needed, and you've probably done this at college or uni, just cut out the words that you don't need. So I had a really good team. Well, actually, you don't need really in there. Get rid of the really. Or things have gone a bit stale. Get rid of the bits. Get rid of the bit. Things have gone stale. Yeah. Make them a lot firmer, and actually it creates a much better picture, but it also saves you a few words, and that can be absolutely crucial, particularly if you are getting towards your 6,000.
Yeah, okay. So the second award is the Practice Differentiation Award. So again, those that you are on the positioning roadmap or have done it, that's about actually understanding, isn't it, about how you're going to differentiate your business from others. So here we've got some ideas here. Do you have a vision that's inspired you, your team, and your clients? Because that's part of what we do in positioning, isn't it? We look at, what is it that you really want, and then you have to communicate it to the people around you. What are you doing that's different from your competitors that makes you stand out? And how do you demonstrate to prospective clients that you're more than just an accountant? So again, thinking about those things that you've applied from the learning that you've already had, or the things you already did or do, and make sure that you've brought something in there.
Yeah, definitely. And as you're going through it, you'll probably come across 101 things you think, I still need to do this. Don't let that stop you. Make a note of those and add them to your action list going forwards.
That's a really valuable point, that, yes, because that's what I said earlier. What happens is you do it, you think of these extra things that you'd like to do or put into your processes, so put it through. Okay.
Fantastic. It's just the act of writing it down just changes how you think about something. Yeah.
So the third one is the Business Advisory Award. So that's taking on board all the things that you learn in the value roadmap. So, about what are the services, but actually how are you explaining those to your clients? How are you adding that value to your clients? What have you done to help them change the numbers that matter for them? And how are you promoting them and delivering them? So again, one of the things that I want to make is really important is about telling stories.
And this is a really good area when to be telling a story that before, you met a client and there's challenges, we'll go through it in a minute, and what sort of things did you do?
Yeah.
And what were the numbers? So, and we talk, don't we, about financial numbers, but also about emotional numbers, happiness numbers, and then about sort of time, stress. So there's money, time, and there's sort of stress, effort, isn't there? So keeping those 3 key areas in mind when we talk about that. And the fourth one is obviously about customer committed team. So how well are you leveraging your time through your team, outsourcing, improving productivity? Now, we do work on that in the gearing roadmap, but actually what you've probably already started to do that. A lot of people are outsourcing. What has that done as far as leveraging your time? Has that allowed your team to be doing much more customer focused work? And so how do you engage with that? How do you get your team engaged with the fact that the customer service is key and they're as passionate about growing the practice as you are? Now, we've got some people on today that I know are really passionate about that and have done some amazing things to make the environment for their clients different, to make the meetings that they have with clients different, all those sorts of things. So being able to show that and show that as part of a team, you're committed to making those changes that would affect the business, the client, and the team as a whole, the environment as a whole.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one. And even if you've got things where there's been waste in your processes of how things get done, and you think actually we've improved that and actually improved the output to the customer, they're always really great examples there as well.
Yeah.
So when you've actually tied things up and you're actually able to get things back to your customer quicker, you're able to respond to the customer. They know where you are with their books or whatever it is you might be working on for them. All those things are really good bits of evidence to pop in there.
And that's right, isn't it? It's about understanding that the changes that you make internally for processes, the reason you do it is to give a better service to your clients.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that. So the next one is actually about those processes, consistently high standards.
Yes.
So this is about making sure you've got those processes, that things happen all the time. What technology have you embraced?
Absolutely.
What systems have you embraced? And what a difference have those made? And that's the key bit for this bit, is this, this is the challenge. These are the systems we've processes we've put in place. This has been the outcome and the effect. And, it's effect on all sorts of people. So looking at that. Obviously, the next one is high profile. So what are we doing here that actually makes sure that you have a real impact in the marketplace? So there are people who have gone out and started speaking for the first time. There's people who've started creating video material for the first time. Got Val on, haven't you, with a great video material that you have on your website. What sort of things are you doing to up the profile of your business? And what difference has it made? What do you feel as, what sort of feedback have you had? Because that's the only real measure, isn't it? Is the feedback that you get. So again, we've given you some ideas of things in here to do as part of that entry. And the last one is changing lives. So that's linked to that purposeful roadmap, isn't it? But really, what have you done or what are you doing that's really helping a client or clients get their lives back? So what are the things are you doing? Are you going that extra mile? Are you changing lives? Now, those of you that were with us 2 years ago, we had the Inspiring Accountants conference, and there were members of AVN who stood up there and told stories of how they'd seriously changed people's lives. And those of you that obviously weren't at the conference, please read the books. We've got 2 books on the world's most inspiring accountants, and they are amazing, the stories in there. But when you read the stories, those people have not done anything that was superhuman. They've not done anything out of the extraordinary. What they've done is they've taken the learning that they already have in the profession we are in and applied it to help somebody, in a structured way. Normally, they've been able, the person that's been able to step out of the chaos that the client was in and look at it from an outsider's perspective and go, right, this is what I can do to help and support you. And the challenges that's happened. So there'll be stories there. And I keep saying to members, and I'll probably say it to you if I speak to you regularly, is that recording those stories is really important when you start working with a client, particularly offering them business growth advice, to keep track of how it was before you started, how the client felt, what situation were they in, what were the financial numbers, and then the sort of things that you did for them or with them or suggested they did, because again, it's not all about us taking responsibility, it's about them doing it too. And then what the consequences of those actions, what happened, and how do they feel now?
And I think that's a really good exercise to write down all the things you've done to help someone like that, because actually if you've done it once and you've written it down, it will help you apply the same again, won't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And the other thing is, it doesn't have to be the end of a story. Do you know what I mean? It can't be, you might be partway through helping somebody change, but but they're in the middle of something that actually is still making an impact on them. So I think it's really important to keep that. When you think about writing your entry, these are the areas I'd like you to think about. So
I like this one, Emma.
First of all, what are others going to learn from this story? What's going to inspire what the other accountants to do? And maybe that's to go and think about whether or not all their clients should be reviewed for incorporation, something as simple as that. It could be something, much bigger. It doesn't matter. It could be that you suggest that somebody ditches their D clients or puts the prices up or whatever. But what will somebody see that you've done that means that they might take that step too? They might be frightened now to take that leap of faith, but seeing it from you, that you've done it, what could they learn and apply themselves? Then the second was obviously in the story, what was the problem? What was the pain? Now that could be obviously internally, it could be for a client, but painting us a picture of the challenge at the beginning of it. And then obviously, what did you do first? What was the first thing that you did? And I'm hoping the first thing you did was listen and find out about it, but actually what sort of things did you think about first? And then what solutions did you offer? So what was the actions? And it's not about you all particularly doing it, and some of it will be doing, but somebody about just suggesting things, helping the client take responsibility and do things in their own business. And hopefully in part of that, what help or training, tools or resources that you received from AVN did you use as part of that? So now, was it something that, you learned from Clarity, which is perhaps reminding you about the referral system that you've then shared with the client to help them grow their business? Was it something that you had from one of the PGE calls that you thought, actually, that really helped because I could apply that? It could be anything, really. So it's just about thinking about, again, what could have helped you sort of give them an action, what happened, and then what were the results? What changed for the positive? What was the outcome? What was the key thing that happened for them? And then I always think there's a what else. So the story doesn't end, when you do something. There is an effect. There's usually an effect on an ongoing relationship, whether that's internally, external. There might be that they've got other work. They might give you more referrals. It might just have improved team morale. There's a great story of one of the applicants last year. One of their key stories was about sacking a major client that was causing them so much grief, and that's something that other accountants will be frightened of, losing GRF, but understanding whether that client was profitable. So what was the problem? We got a client who was a pain, took up all our time, actually wasn't profitable. What did we do first? We discussed with them our fees. We talked about what we could offer instead. What did we decide to do? We actually decided that we couldn't work together. And how was that positive? Well, the team actually found that was great, and we freed up X amount of hours a week, which we're now actually using to do something different, and that is earning us Y amount of money. So there's lots of other connections. So thinking about this as a sort of structure for your 6,000 characters. Do you want to add anything, Andrea?
No, I think they are really, really great headings, and even within your practice, having sort of things written out in this way for the awards and actually using them back in practice can only help you have almost your recipes for dealing with some of the issues that are out there.
Brilliant.
So I think this is a really good structure, Emma.
Fantastic. Good. Okay. And what I've put in here, if you remember, I show you, this is our vision of what's important to us. But again, when you think about what you're writing about, is it actually helping somebody to grow, take an eye and grow? Is it actually improving service, customer service? Are you helping to remember the key numbers, money, happiness, effort? Did what you do help somebody forge links with somebody else? Did you help somebody get their life-work balance back? Did you help somebody become part of a community, or do you feel like your team are now a better community working together? And ultimately, did you feel like you're making a difference? which is that, that last one. What have we done that's made a difference? So I just sort of brought that. Some of those people are more visual than words. You get a bit of an idea of sort of perhaps some of those things you want to keep in your mind when you're writing your application. Okay. I did want to remind you there is a system in System Builder, which has got sort of things to think about. This is mainly focused at applying for other awards, not AVN awards, but there's quite a few really cool things in there. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was I'm hoping that all of you got the 2018 AVN Guide for Inspiring Accountants. I'm just going to get my copy to show you. Got it on my desk here ready. Okay, this one. And if you go from page, I think it's 22 onwards, page 22
right,
you will see the winners from last year. Okay, and their stories. Those of you, if you haven't got it, please just message me or email members@avn.co.uk and we'll send you another copy, or I'll send you the PDF, because it's really useful to listen and see what other people have been doing and understand what a difference it made. Because it's really important to do that. I mean, if we get time, we'll perhaps ask a few people, what that were winners last year about what they did and things like that, but we'll just see how we go. But it's really important, I think, to look at other applicants. One of the sections in that system says, research what other people have done to win this award. What are people looking for? Because you're looking at what the judging panel are looking for, in a way. So again, read up for these people. It's really, really important. Yeah. Andrea?
Yes, I think even whatever you're thinking about doing with the awards, read last year's entries, because you will learn something from them. They are really fantastic, and actually you'll get to know what you want to put in your awards and the evidence you've got along the same sort of lines. Also, there's a little bit about why entering awards are important that was written by Jerry Murray in there. So that's certainly worth the read as well, not only for AVN awards but for any awards that you're putting in from, because you can just do so much on the back of them. So you can learn from them, you can inspire your own practice, you can inspire others, you can promote your own team, promote your own business. There are just so many wins to be had, and you think, I'm too busy to put in for it, but actually that time is working on the business, as Emma said earlier, is so important, and it pays off in so many ways. And you'll find that the benefits are unknown and unknowable of actually doing something like this.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I've created a bit of an action plan of things, because I think what we need to do is make sure we get a structure, a system, would you believe, of getting these things together. So I thought, first of all, obviously you need to update your AVN dashboard. So what we need to make sure is you've got the latest version of Windows. So you'll need to go to the software downloads page to get that, and make sure you update that. And that will give you the link. Make sure you get working.
And the software downloads page as well, Emma, just to remind.
It's avn.co.uk/software-downloads.
Brilliant.
And then the next thing we need to do is obviously get together a team to put together the award entry. It's always good to get a team together because you brainstorm ideas, you think of different things, you've all got different touch points, you've all got different clients you're working with, you'll all remember things differently, things you might have done. Oh, I remember that I did that last 6 months ago or whatever. So getting a group together is really important. Obviously have somebody who's leading that group, because you need somebody who's driving those things and making sure you're collating all the information. And that's where the third one is. Set a target date for collecting your stories. So, whether it's stories about things that are happening inside your business or things that you've done with your clients, you need to give your team a date that says, right, I need this, in a shortest number of sentences as possible, what you've done in the story and where do I find that evidence, so that you can then evaluate which stories you want to put in. Because I'm pretty certain that you won't just have one story of how you've helped a client. You'll have lots. So part of the trick is finding the one that will resonate, the story that will work. So getting that together. If you've got any challenges or you can't think of things that you've got you could put in, then talk to us. I can tell you that pretty every single firm that I speak to, I could help them apply for one of those categories. I'm sure, Andrew, you're exactly the same.
I'm just saying, you're setting the challenge now, Emma, aren't you?
Well, but you know what? Yeah, because I listen to you all and you tell me such amazing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, every time I have a call with somebody, I hear such amazing stuff, and people throw it away as a throwaway comment. Oh, I just did this today, or I just did the other, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, that was a massive step. I understand that was a massive step, you know, but again, we don't like blowing our own trumpets a lot of the time. You don't want to make a big thing about it. But this is the time to get that pat on the back. You know, it's about actually having some recognition. And whether or not you win the award, like I said, recognizing internally that you do stuff. And I know that as practice growth experts, we will remember things that you've told us about, you know, and we will have ideas of what you could put in. Once you've got those ideas, again, write the stories in that format that I suggested earlier, and write it in Notepad or something, and just play with it, you know. And it's never going to be perfect, and we talked about earlier, it doesn't have to be perfect. The grammar doesn't have to be perfect. We are not judging, you know, an English exam here. It's about content. It's about what the story you're telling us, and why we think it's inspiring to other accountants. And then finally, make sure you then complete the online application through the dashboard by the 31st of July. That's your deadline, 31st of July. Okay, guys? So, you know, it's not too far away. It gives you a nice time window to really work on it and set yourselves, you know, some little project time together to make sure that happens. Andrew, would you like to add anything to that, Andrea?
No, I think the thing is if you start just doing a little bit on it now, the 31st of July will be easy. So don't wait for the 31st of July. Don't wait till the 20th of July and think, oh, I better start doing something now. Just start scribbling a few ideas down now, talking to your team about things, you know, thinking about the stories that are out there, capturing them, and then starting to do something with them. And it's only take you 12 hours to write it, maximum, to be honest. We're not going to mark you on grammar. We're not going to mark you on spelling. You know, we're not a SATs test or anything. You know, it's purely the content in there, what the situation was, what you did to change it, what the situation is now. And if you work to that, you won't go far wrong.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's useful to just have like a whiteboard or somewhere where everybody can just scribble on, like you said earlier, the brain dumps. What, you know, oh, it's just come to me. There's an idea. So where people can just put stuff and it can be visual, so that people go, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I've got some notes to add to that. So that when you all come together, you've got something to work with. You're not coming to the meeting cold. Do you know what I mean? You've got somewhere that you store these ideas. And although you know, everybody loves spreadsheets and Word documents, I'm very much into sort of that physical writing stuff down on a board, reconnects you back with the emotion and the process and what you physically did for a client.
Absolutely.
And that will help you get the right language to express how it affected either you or the client or the business or whatever. So having something that you can write it down. Yeah, Andrea's a big fan of Post-it notes, aren't you, Andrea? I think she could be a sales lady for Post-it notes. But again, just somewhere where you're just being able to dump ideas. Yeah. If you use something like Trello, you could use like something like a Trello board. But just get everybody in your team, the projects team, to really sort of have a brain dump. And even after now, you know, after we finish now, if you could just have 10 minutes going, okay, that's just brain dump great things we've been doing, great clients we've worked for, and just dump it down, and then you can decide which entries you want to put it in.
Absolutely. And when you do something like this with your team, it's not unheard of for you to come across stories you didn't even know about. When people have sort of, you know, suggested a couple, and it's not unheard of for somebody to say, well, I did this for them in the payroll, this was going to happen, that was going to happen, so I sorted it for them, and, you know, this happened as a result of it. And, you know, people go, I never knew you did that. I never knew that you had done that for that person. Yeah. So don't be surprised if you get some absolutely inspirational stuff just coming out that it was almost dealt with and not even thought about afterwards. So just be prepared for those as well, because they're really great moments.
Yeah, and also it's great because what you do is you get actually internal learning, don't you? You know, we had an instance here, you know, where Jenny had a conversation with an AVN member, and she talked about stuff and pointed them to some extra sort of supporting resources and websites they could use that I had no knowledge of. But it was only telling us the story of how she'd helped somebody that I got that learning that I could share with others. And it'll be the same in your teams. There'll be things that each of you do, you know, that actually just by sharing the story. Someone, oh, I could do that too. I could have that sort of conversation. I could offer that sort of service. I never thought about that. That works really well for my client. And like you said, it can really give some added value to your business too.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So 31st is coming around quite quickly, so get on with it is any words I would add there.
Yeah, and I think you do need to set yourself sort of, I don't want you to be filling it in on the 31st, to be quite honest. We do have people who ring us up at 5 o'clock on the 31st going, I'm not quite finished. But come on, we've given you warning, so let's get moving on it, I think. Yeah. Then just some basic stuff here. Once your entry is complete, so all the way through, you can be typing stuff into those different sections, and you can just click save, and it'll save what you're doing. You can go back and edit it and change it and save it again. It just stores it online. But once you're happy with all your entries, whether that's 1 or whether it's 7, it doesn't really matter, click the submit button, okay? And what that'll do is it'll then make sure we can see it. You can also, if you entered some awards last year, there is the facility now to look at what you wrote last year. So you can, again, compare where you were last year with where you are now. So you can see, again, how you've moved forward. So that's good. Obviously, like I said, we've got this deadline, and that's because we have a panel of people who will be available to read all the entries. That's a mammoth task. And to, come up with a short list for the people to vote, for the category winners. Yeah. And we will notify the category winners in the second week of August. And we've put here, look, please note, winners will be expected to give a short resume of their entry on stage at the conference. Won't they, Val? But it won't be frightening. We will make it simple for you. We'll make it easy. We will have planned it with you. And that's the reason, again, why we will tell you by the second week in August. Because after that, we will have a one-to-one Zoom call with you where we will talk about that process, what you will need to say, what you'll say on stage, what sort of questions would you like to be asked, how to feel comfortable. We want to make it easy for you. I don't want you to not enter because you're frightened of being on stage, okay? That is not the key here. We're not here to make it frightening. We're here to just let you come and show people what you're doing and tell your story. And if you want the team to be up there telling the story, that'd be brilliant too.
Yeah.
And then just as in other years, the AVN Firm of the Year will be voted for by the delegates at the conference. So all 7 category winners will go up and just have a very short time, just a quick summary of their story. And then the delegates in the room will vote as to which for them is the most inspiring story to get the Firm of the Year. Okay, so again, you need to be there at the conference. So if you haven't booked your places, please, I've put the link on there. You can either go straight to that one, or if you go to the training page, there's a link through to the conference.
Yes.
Really important to get those in.
Yeah. And just as an aside, the conference is a fantastic learning opportunity for your team. And a chance for them to network, a chance for them to hear other stories. People come back so fired up after the conference with things that they want to do and change in their practice. So it's, it's not just going away for a nice jolly for 2 days. It's actually professional development by attending. We've got some amazing speakers this year, and some speakers that are very close to our heart and what they're saying. So I know you'll enjoy it, and I know your teams will enjoy it. And it's a brilliant experience in terms of you want them to get out there and network and talk to people. Set them the remit of talking to people at the conference as well. Get them to use that as a working area to practice their talking skills in. But just come along, because I know it's going to be brilliant this year.
Yeah, and I think as well, we will have seen all the category entries, but you will not. So coming and seeing, the people who have won each of the 7 categories and seeing what you can learn from them, what things that you could apply in your business, coming away, even if you come away with one idea, it's worth a day. But I'm going to be honest, you're going to come away with lots, as usual, from an AVN event. And again, it'll be our job to help you manage that. So basically, all I want to say is get started. It's time for you to be inspirational. It's time for you to actually, tell us about what's going on in your lives, and share anything. Now, would anybody like to ask any questions or add anything?
Val might add a few words for us.
Can I unmute you? Hi, Val.
Hi.
Hiya. You've been through this experience.
Yeah.
You won an award last year, and you had to come up on stage for the first time, which I know was not in your comfort zone at the time.
Yeah.
But you've really moved on since then. So can you give anybody advice for entering the award and also preparing if they win, which would be great?
I think when I entered last year, what I basically did was sit down and a bit, as Andrea said, it was a bit of a brain dump at first. I just actually sat and thought, hey, what have we done this year? What has the story of the year been? And I just sat and wrote down all the things that we'd done during the course of the year, and then pulled it together into some sort of format that I could put into the award, taking out an awful lot of words because there were originally an awful lot more words in it than because I was going for 6,000 words. I didn't realise it was 6,000 characters. But yeah, it just sort of told a story. Nothing more complicated than that. I think a really useful thing to do also is to actually have a look at your testimonials that your clients give you and your reviews that they give you. I don't know if anybody's been collecting these for their websites and things like that, but if they have, actually remind you of some of the stuff that you've done, because sometimes it's quite hard to remember what you've done that people have really liked. So just have a look at what people have actually said when you've asked them for reviews for things, because it's just jogs your memory. Oh yeah, we did that, I forgot about that. So that's one thing which I'll be revisiting this year for the awards entry. And I guess as regards going up on stage, yes, you're right, it was quite scary. I know you said it's not scary, but actually when you're scared of public speaking, it is scary. And but it inspired me to go and learn to do public speaking. So it was a good thing, let's just put it that way. It inspired me to eventually go and get myself out my comfort zone and do something that I've always been afraid of. So from that point of view, it was a great thing to do. So I was grateful for the opportunity to actually think, face the fear and do it anyway, Val. But having said that, you know, I was interviewed by Steve, who was lovely. And the questions he asked me, I knew exactly what he was going to ask, and I knew exactly what I was going to answer. So it was made easy for me. It was made as easy for me as it possibly could be. So, yeah. And it's a very supportive environment. Everybody wants you to do well, and everybody wants you wants to listen to you. So it's not like you're standing up in front of people who are judging you. Well, they are judging you, but it doesn't feel like that. It actually feels very supportive. So it's fine.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. David has just asked, will we get the slides? Yes, I can send you the slides if you want to, David. That's not a problem. And obviously we've recorded this, so we'll send you the link to the recording if you want to review any of it. That's not a problem. I think I just wanted to reiterate really what Val just said, that I always feel at the conference that you're amongst friends. So it's not like, you know, you're in a room full of people who are constantly judging everything about you. They want to hear your story. They're there because they want to hear what you've got to say, you know, and you're right. I think they're willing you to feel comfortable and be okay with it. And it doesn't matter if you're nervous, because that's natural. Most of them it'll resonate with them too. They, you know, being on stage is frightening for all, you know, is not one of these things we do every day. It can be quite scary. So I think actually, you know, people accept that as part of it. We're not professional speakers at this point in time, you know, so it's about actually having that support. And I think it is a great vote. But like I said before, that's just a tiny part of what it is. The actual award is so important in so many other ways, you know, that it's really important to get part of it. And you know, if you win, amazing, and we'll deal with being on stage at that point. Up to now, just start thinking about those great stories, those things that you've been doing that we know you have been inspirational at.
Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic.
Okay. Anything from anybody else?
Yeah,
Sorry.
just from me. I think the hardest part with doing anything like this is getting started with it. So if you set yourself an hour aside this week to get started on it, you will do something with it. I think if you don't do that, then you probably won't start on it until much nearer the time. and then you'll be wishing that you've given yourself more time to do it. So set yourself an hour this week, or even 30 minutes just to go, right, we're going to make a start on this. And even if you're at 2 lines or 20 lines, by making a start, by actually opening that app and putting in 2 or 3 lines at the start of your entry, you have more chance of completing it and finishing it. I think will be my only tip to just add there.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for giving up your lunch time. Hope you're not all starving. If you have any questions, please just drop us a line or pick up the phone. That's what we're here for, to help you do this. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.